All right, Rabarius, the transfer portal is open, except for the fact that it's not. And guys are already going and saying they're going to go and they're going to leave. And Matt Rule comes out and says a valuable quarterback's $1 million, maybe 1.5, maybe $2 million. So guys like Blake Shapen have decided they're going to leave. Will Howard no longer at Kansas State. You've already seen like Miles Price leaving Texas Tech, Treshaun Ward at Kansas State. And there was kind of a mass exodus from teams like Oklahoma State, and Kansas State lost a lot of guys last year. What do I do with this? Is the Big 12 becoming just like a minor league for the SEC and the Big 10 as a guy like Will Howard wants to go now make more money somewhere else?
Absolutely not. I don't see it as that. I think the Big 12 is actually a home to the people in the SEC who necessarily didn't get the opportunity they wanted to.
This is like a Premier League.
Yeah, I think players. I think it's a place where other teams can really shine and develop.
Okay.
Like we look at Kansas State. You added Keegan Johnson from Iowa. That's a good program. You're not just adding only G5 talent. We look at TCU. How many players from Alabama did they have in the transfer portal this year? And I think the exception to that is the elite talent who was kind of not ready for the NFL draft, but can have like they have a market or a value in the transfer portal. When I see Will Howard, I wanted him to be a lifelong Kansas State person and then go to the draft. Like that is what, we all love the players who stick around to their franchise for the rest of time, or we love that, they were exclusively this. But if I was Kansas State, I have no problem with Will Howard leaving. If I was Chris Kleiman, you maxed out everything you could with Will Howard. And I think you are setting your entire team, your program back if you don't have Avery Johnson as the quarterback. And if I'm Will Howard, if I go to the NFL draft, what is my grade? Ceiling, 4th round, maybe 5th round. If I went to, let's say, a Notre Dame and got that Matt Rule, $2 million per, for a really good quarterback, like that's really good. You could have $2 million to play at a major school where you're probably going to be around better weapons than you would at Kansas State, even though they're having success. Like, I think that's a good move for Will Howard. Blake Shapen, I have no idea. I have no idea where he can go next, just because, he showed glimpses of being really good. That Big 12 title game, he won that game for them. Like, he had an excellent first half, but he was also, I think, in terrible situations to really show off how good he could be. Jeff Grimes is a great coach, but that hasn't, resulted in winning. And it also, he got fired. So I don't know if he's going to be quarterback that goes to a G5 level, shows off, or goes to, let's say a middling team, like, let's say like Arkansas. Would he be good at Arkansas? Yeah. So I like the transfer portal a whole lot, though. I think it brings a lot of intrigue and like the NBA, NFL free agency to the sport to, continue coverage for the whole year.
Does the transfer portal make the Big 12 more or less competitive with the SEC and the Big 10? I know it's a comparison game that I keep playing here, but you have to now that it's a Power 4, because the future of these 4 conferences is still up in the air. The ACC might not exist in 5 years, and who knows the future of the Big 12. Is the transfer portal going to even that playing field?
I think so. And I think we're kind of seeing it a little bit. And, if quarterbacks are worth $2 million and a Big 12 quarterback can move up and get that kind of money, how does that even the playing field? Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's not like, I think the major schools are going to develop their quarterback. Like you look at it, Alabama, I don't think they're going to, grab the best quarterback in the portal because they have the most money. Or like Georgia's going to be like, we're going to take them. I think the best schools, constantly stack on really good recruits. Like you look at Michigan, like JJ McCarthy, they grew him up and now he's going to be that. And I don't think now they're going to be like, all right, let's just get Will Howard because I do think they want to grow into their systems. And I think what the Big 12 can be, and I think how they're going to catch up is through the portal, just because you look at recruiting rankings, they're not there yet. And I don't know if they ever will catch up to the SEC. And I think the transfer portal is a way for them to level that playing field. Like you look at Kansas State recruiting wise, not very good, but they are so good at identifying people in the portal and building them up and immediately placing them in for success. So like money wise, I don't know where the Big 12 ranks, NIL wise with everybody else. Yeah. But I do think, the transfer portal is amazing for the Big 12 to be able to compete when they can't recruiting wise. Question, Drake.
I have a follow-up to my earlier question. Drake Toll, ESPN Central Texas, Locked On Big 12.
Okay, you can go on. Fine. I'll take 2 questions.
The NIL thing. We talk about it so much as if that's what creates a. Baylor's screaming it right now. Oh, we're going to improve NIL. Arkansas saying the same thing, and that's going to make us good now. TCU wasn't at the forefront of NIL, and they won a college football playoff game, went to the national championship. Do you think that the transfer portal has so much more of a factor in who's going to be a player in the playoff than NIL actually does? That's a fun question. That's a good follow-up right there.
That is a good one. I do think NIL has a major impact when it comes to, I think it has more of an impact when it comes to high school recruiting, when it comes to anything. But really, like, how much credit are we giving NIL everything? That's why when Dave Aranda was like, he's going to use NIL more, and now it means Baylor's going to win games, and people are going to come to the stands, and people are going to care. Like, I think that's so stupid. Like, you want to know how you win? You develop a really good culture. You bring up really good talent. You prove that, hey, you want to come here? We're going to win. I don't think if you just rely solely on the transfer portal and solely on NIL, you're going to win. I think you have to develop some type of culture somewhat. So, like, I think NIL is, I don't know, that's a really confusing question, but really, like, thought-provoking. I like that. But I do think, I don't know what I think, actually.
Wow, that was eloquent. If nothing else, great Christmas tree in the background.
I think I just put a lot of words together.
I believe you repeated the question back to me, but in a much longer, in a much more drawn out.
I wish I said it like Dave Aranda. They're like, that's just a really
appreciate the question.
That's what
appreciate.
He says that. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Appreciate the question. He's appreciated a lot of my questions, and I don't appreciate that he is still going to be able to appreciate my questions. Robbie, let's jump into the Big 12 title this week in Oklahoma State and Texas. Is there any way to keep this from being a blowout? But first, we'll hear from our friends at Prize Picks. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Prize Picks. It's where I go to make money. I'm sitting around on my couch and I'm thinking, I don't really want to go to work today. I don't. I call in sick. I don't go to work, and I make even more money than I could have made by going to work because I go to Prize Picks. And with basketball season here, you can pick a combo. I take I parlay these props together. LeBron James and Travis Kelce, 10.5-point combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. It hits. $25 to win $1 million sometimes. If you can play alongside Andrew Schultz, rapper Meek Mill, that's what the kids are listening to now. He plays Prize Picks. It even offers you a reboot policy. Your player gets hurt in the first half, doesn't come back in the second. It just rebooted. We forgive you for that. There's insurance at Prize Picks. Turn $10 into $250 with a couple of taps. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Use code LockedOnCollege for your first deposit match up to $100. You give 100, you get 100 in free play. PrizePicks.com/LockedOnCollege. That is Prize Picks /LockedOnCollege.